Okay, this next section on angles and degree measures, we're going to be learning some new vocabulary along with this. We'll be sketching angles, and when you sketch an angle, you use a ray, which I'm so sure you're familiar with from geometry class. But the first ray that you start with when you go to sketch an angle is called the initial side of the angle. And then you might sketch a second ray, and that's called the terminal side. Here's another one. There's a sketch, there's the initial side, and then another side is called the terminal side. And you can sketch all kinds of different rays. Now, typically, when we measure an angle, we measure from the initial side to the terminal side in a counterclockwise direction. So I measure it this way. I usually draw an arrow to show what way I'm measuring the angle in a particular example. Now, another thing is, when you're talking an angle, how many degrees might this stand for? And this stands for 225 degrees. You might be wondering where I get 225 from. Well, a complete rotation is 360. And if you think of this grid here, I'll put a little axis grid, starting with this x-axis. If I go all the way around once, I've gone 360 degrees. So it starts at 0 degrees, and it goes to 360. So from here to here, do you know how many degrees that is? I bet you guessed 90. If you did, you were right. I go all the way to here, 180. What if I go all the way to here, 270, and all the way around, 360, and then anywhere in between? So this one, right, is somewhere, it's past the 90, it's past the 180, not quite to the 270, so it's approximately 225. You don't, when you're sketching angles, they do not have to be exact. I like them somewhere in the vicinity of where they should be in terms of, if I were to measure it, but I won't measure them. As long as you get it in the correct quadrant, you're pretty good. So if I had to guess that one, what do you think you might guess for that one? I think it's about 45, right? Now, here's an interesting thing. I could call that 45 degrees. Somebody else might look at that and wanted to think about calling it something else, right? And if I measured it this way, right, it's called positive 45 if I measured it the first way. This is called negative. And if I go all the way around, except for the last 45, right, what do you think it is? 3 what? 315? So, and because I went in the negative direction, it's negative 315, okay? What if I wanted to sketch negative 30 degrees? Well, start with your initial side. Always put your initial side on the positive x-axis, okay? There's my first line. Do I want to go positive or negative? I want to go negative, and 30 is less than 90, so if I were to go all the way to this line here, that would be negative 90. So I want to go negative 30, so I'm going to put it here. Initial side, terminal side. Draw the arrow to show the direction I'm doing my measuring, and then I usually identify it with what it stands for, so negative 30 degrees. Now, another thing when we're talking about these angles is I might want to know what quadrant it's in. And you notice this grid here, it sort of divides my areas into 4 sections. Those sections are named with Roman numerals. Quadrant 1, Quadrant 2, Quadrant 3, and Quadrant 4. So if I asked you the question, where is the angle 100 degrees in terms of quadrants? Is it in quadrant 1, 2, 3, or 4? I hope you said quadrant 2. What if I said 225 degrees? Where is it? Quadrant 3. What if I said negative 260? Negative 260. I'm going in the negative direction. Negative 180, that would be negative 270. Negative 260 would be in the second quadrant. So, we can name quadrants, we can name angles, we can identify them as positive and negative, we can tell what quadrant they're in, and we're doing measuring in degrees for right now. So you're going to have some homework that deals with that sort of stuff, and you'll have to sketch an angle. Now, I didn't talk about sketching one that was bigger than 360, but suppose I said to sketch an angle of 80 degrees. Well, you draw a little grid, and then you sketch 80 degrees right there. So that's 80 degrees. There's a sketch showing my initial side and my terminal side. What if I said to sketch 400 degrees? All right, I need a little more space here, don't I? Let's make my screen go like this. All right, so if I want to sketch 400 degrees, right, positive direction, that means I go all the way around once. That's 360. And how much more? 40 more. And there's the sketch for 400 degrees. So sometimes you have to go around more than once, all right? 500, how many times would I go around? 1080, how many times would I go around? So you need to go around for each time you hit 360 and keep on going and make sure you stop in the proper quadrant. You'll be able to do some of these for homework, I think. Good luck.